that what you're looking for? Yeah? You gonna come up and say hi? Oh, okay. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brown, second day live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Somebody wants to have something to say. I'm going to have to get the treats out. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1310. It's time. Oh, hello. Haven't even got the bag open yet. Hope you all had a super fantastic, sparkling day. It has been an awesome day here. Energy levels today have done very well, actually. We did have a little nap this morning, though, didn't we, Zeph? Poor Zeffie has basically been sleeping the last 2 days. She slept all day yesterday and most of today. Can you snuggle up? There we go. There you goes. But it has been an awesome day today, and probably going, why has it got its time? Well, last night I was laying in bed, and I got into bed at a reasonable time, and I was doing my affirmations. Now, my affirmations are on the underside of the cabinet that overhangs the head of the bed, and I'm going through that, and I happen to look up, and the cabinets are in the slide area of the RV for the bedroom. And I happen to look up where the edge of the slide, where there's like material and like a header and that sort of stuff up there. And I noticed that over on Zeffie's side, there was a wet patch appearing, and I'm like, and it's pouring down with rain outside. And I'm like, oh, don't tell me we've got a leak. And so, of course, I then had to get out of bed and stand up on the bed and look to see. And sure enough, there was water coming in off the main roof, and it was dripping into the top of the slide where all the edge of the slide and everything is on the inside. And it was leaking, and it was starting to leak down through the thing. So fortunately, those cabinets above the bed right there hold towels. So I was able to open it up, grab a towel, and get it up under there. So it was started to, and there was actually a little puddle of water. I was playing in the water on the top there. That's how much water was in there already. And it was just dripping. And so I got the towel up there, and I'm like, oh. And I thought, right, I really have to find somebody to come and power wash down the whole RV and get the roof resealed. So today I actually put on into the Facebook group for the resort. Anybody know anybody that does this, that can come in and do this? Where'd that bug come from? It's the second bug was squished tonight. What you doing all the way over there? All of a sudden, I'm like, there's this gap. Come back here. Guess who's turning 4 tomorrow? Are you turning 4 tomorrow? Is it your birthday? So I got all that taken care of, and then got back into bed and went back to reading again. All of a sudden, I'm like looking up, I'm looking at all these affirmations and things, and I thought, it's time. The time has come to sell sparkles. And when I said that out loud, I said, Zeffie, I said, it's time to sell sparkles. And she just like puts her head up out of the blanket and then just burrows back down again. Like, she doesn't care. As long as she's got a place to sleep, she really doesn't care. And it felt good. The decision felt good. It felt right. And it's like this weight that I didn't even know was there had been lifted. The decision has been made. It's been put out there. And then I'm like, okay, I have this site until May 30th, May 31st. How many days does May have? Whatever the last day of May is. June 1st is when the rent is due on this site again for another year. And I'm not going to renew the lease on it. So I thought, okay, so my 4-year mark will be May 4th, which is Star Wars Day. And so I thought, well, wouldn't that be a good day to sell sparkles? And then you're probably going to go, well, what are you going to do next? Are you going to buy another RV? No, we're not buying another RV for now. For now, we are going to actually find a house to rent for a while and just see how things go with that. I have already written out my wish list on what I want in the house. That I want solar power. I want a fully fenced backyard for Zeffie to run around in. I want at minimum 2 bedrooms, at maximum 3. 2 bedrooms and a den, or 3 bedrooms, because I want an office and a guest room and master room, of course. And so I've got my list written out. I want a big area that's got kitchen, dining, living room, family room area in there. So it's one big room. Great for entertainment. That sort of, not that I do a lot of entertainment, but I like that big space of kitchen, dining, living area family room area. I just like that big open space area. So if people do come over, we can use the island. It's got to have a big island. We use the island for putting all the food on. They can sit at the table. They can sit on the couches or whatever. But yeah, it's time. And so I sort of thought, it feels good. And we're going to rent a place. And it's going to be somewhere either in Sun City or probably in Surprise. I'm looking more Surprise than Sun City, which is Sun City's where I am now. But Surprise is where my mailing address is. So I want to be more closer to and it's a 20-minute drive from here to there. So I want to be closer to my mailbox. So yeah, and just laying there last night, and I'm holding my Kindle. My Kindle's open, ready to read, and it's on and everything else. And then I just closed it up, laid it on my chest, and suddenly thought, okay. And then just started listing all the things that we wanted in the house when we were going to sell the RV. And we're picking May 4th will be the day that we sell it, because it'll be the 4-year anniversary of us purchasing it. Look, that sounds like a really good date. Let's make it happen. And so I'm putting it out there in the universe that we're going to sell her on the 4th of May. And then I basically have the rest of May to empty out the RV. And but by then we will also have a place to move into already. So we'll be able to empty out the RV and move everything over there and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's time. It's time to move on. Not move on. It's time to move forward in a different direction than what we have been. So we have enjoyed the last 4 years of living in an RV. Totally enjoyed it. Will I still go RVing? Absolutely. But for now, I'm not going to purchase an RV. If I want to go RVing, we're going to rent one and use that for our trips. It's come to the point now with upkeep. It's just sort of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to drive, I'm not going to drive Sparkles again. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to her, but it's going to be almost sold in an as-is condition, but it's going to be a decent as-is condition. It'll be all nice and clean and tidy and all of that. They'll have to get a battery to turn the engine on. I may replace that. I don't know. But it will be sold in an as-is condition when I do come to sell it. But yeah, it's just sort of like, we've spent 4 great years living in this, and for helping me to move forward from where I was previously, where I was living in a place that I had to vacate because the owner had passed away and the family had agreed to honor our lease until the end of it. And then once the lease was up, they were not going to renew it. So I was at a point where I knew I was going to be moving in a year's time. I had to move, and I started stressing myself out about having to find a place. And that's when the idea of moving full-time into an RV came into effect. And 14 months later and that was the 15th of March of 2018. And then the 4th of May, 2019 is when I purchased Sparkles. So it took us a while to find Sparkles, but we got her. And by which stage, when I actually purchased Sparkles, I was living in a hotel at the time, because our last day in the house was April 30th. So I did have to live in a hotel for a few days, but that was okay. I had a plan. On how I was going to find an RV. And then Sparkles came along on May 4th. And as I said, the rest is history. We've done over 12,000 miles in Sparkles, and we've been up into British Columbia. We've been to California, and we've stayed in Oregon, Washington State. Hang on. Let's go the other way. We've stayed in Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Washington State, British Columbia, Oregon, California, Northern California, Southern California. We have driven across the I-10 from California to Florida. Got to Florida, stayed at one place for 2 weeks. They wouldn't let us stay a third week, but we managed to move to another place, which happened to be right behind Disney World there in Orlando. And we actually got caught in lockdown there. So we ended up being in that one campground for like 7 weeks or something like that. And then we drove up through Florida to Georgia. Where do we go from Georgia? I need a map in front of me so I can retrace my routes. Let's see. US. I need a US map. And Zephy, Zephy I adopted in November of 2019. And she joined me on that trip that we did when we left San Diego, and we went through Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, and into Florida. And then once we stayed in Florida, we then went up through Georgia. We went through, where did we go from Georgia? Was it Alabama? I know we ended up in Nashville, up in Tennessee, because we actually ended up, we were in Memphis, Tennessee, but the campground was actually in Mississippi. So we've actually stayed in Mississippi twice on 2 different occasions. Went to Arkansas, up through Missouri, Kansas to Colorado, down through New Mexico to Arizona and back to San Diego again. And then from San Diego, we ended up back in Arizona, where we've been ever since. So we've done a good portion, visited many states, but in order for it to be, I have a map of the US, and I got stickers that go onto the outline, it's an outline map of the US, and I've got stickers that go into those outlines based on the states that we stay in. But I had rules. I had to stay a minimum of 2 nights in the state, and I had to leave the campground and go sightseeing in order to put that particular state, to fill in that particular state. So some of those states, as we were driving across, like back to my map, hang on, I'm going to go back to my map. Like New Mexico is not colored in because we didn't leave the campground. Texas is, because I left the campground. I think we stayed in 3 or 4 different places as we went across Texas. And I got to leave the campground several times. Louisiana was sort of do that one. Mississippi, we didn't get to leave. Alabama, we didn't leave the campground on that one, but Florida we did. And in Georgia we did. Let's see, Tennessee, did we leave there in Tennessee? Actually, I stayed at a really rinky-dinky little place. It was kind of cool. It was in the trees. It was just this rough little campground, but it was really cool to walk around and everything else. So, but I've got my maps colored in on states I've been to, so that map will still come with us, and it'll go into the next RV when we rent, when we go driving again. So RVing life is not out completely. It's just full-time is coming to an end. And I feel really good about the decision. So the next couple of months, because this is March, we're looking at selling her in May. So the next couple of months are going to be busy getting her ready for sale, getting stuff sorted out so that when people come to walk through and we actually put it on the market and people come to walk through and everything else, that there's not stuff everywhere like there is right now. And at the same time, we'll be finding a place to rent and looking at moving in at the beginning of May, so that I've got the whole month of May to move stuff in to the house, get everything organized, to get stuff out of the RV. And so, yeah, that's our big news for today, that it's time. And there's time, and you will know, I was just laying there, and it wasn't really, I kind of been thinking about it, but I thought, well, if I can find a place that has like a side yard that I could park Sparkles in, that would be fun, because then we could just leave from there. And then and as I started thinking about it last night, it was just sort of like, I think that leak, that new leak that sprung last night was like the final straw. It was like, no, we're done. We are done. And I think the universe had been sending me signals and I wasn't paying attention, and that was the final signal. And so like, okay, I got the message. We're selling Sparkles. But I feel good about it, and I feel happy about it. I feel grateful for the 4 years that we've spent in Sparkles, because she's a great vehicle. But then I'm looking at, I've been doing some browsing online at places that are available for rent in the house and all that, and I'm like looking at 1,400 square foot houses, and I'm going, that's a lot of space. This RV is around 250 square feet, so we're going to be basically Kathy says, I think it was the laundry. We had this great discussion about laundry the other day, and I said, if it's in the house, like when I had the laundry in the house, I would do laundry once a week or once every 2 weeks at the most. I said, but the thought of having to put laundry in a bag, drag that bag out to the car, put it in the car, have to drive half a mile, I think it's just over half a mile to the laundry that's here on the resort, then drag that bag out into the laundry, and then have to pay to do my laundry, and then have to drag it all back again. That's why I put off doing it so much, because I just don't like the dragging of the laundry. And so, yeah, it'd be nice to have a house that has a laundry, where I can do laundry once a week. and it will be done a lot more frequently and things like that too. So, that's one big thing. But the extra leak we got last night, that was like the final straw. It's finally like, okay, universe, I am now listening to you, and I totally agree that now is the time to sell sparkles and just find a house to rent for now. How long will we rent the place? I don't know. Planning on going down to New Zealand at Christmas time for about a month, so it may be that everything gets put into storage for that month. We pack up the house, put it in storage, and we come back and find a new place to live. Who knows? Crazy things have happened. Maybe we find a place that we like and we buy. You never know. But that's what we're looking at right now. And when it's time to move forward. We've done a lot of forward moving in the RV with businesses and business-wise and everything else. We've done, Zephy and I have seen a lot while we've been here in the RV. We've done a lot. We've been a lot of places. But now it's time for a new adventure. And the universe has been calling. I am finally listening. And yes, I will have a guest room. The plan is, somebody said, what size place looking for? I said, I want a master bedroom. I want a room for a guest room, and either a den that I can turn into an office or a third bedroom that I can turn into an office. But it's definitely going to have a separate office that will not be at my dining table. My dining table will be for sitting and eating at. And if I've got the right size island, because I love islands and kitchens, then I will have bar stools along there. And if I want to sit at the bar stool and eat, I can sit at the bar stool and eat. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to, and then I'm going to be able to have recliners that actually recline and don't bang into a wall, that go about this much, go back about this much, and bang into a window, which is what my current recliner does. So looking forward to having a full recliner and just reclining back. And Zephy will have more space to run around as well, and give her a backyard. We'll still do our walks, and but she'll have a backyard to run around in. And so and there's no swimming pool is the big thing. No swimming pool. Because for one, I don't want to be swimming by myself in a swimming pool, and Zephy doesn't like water. So I don't want even to and even though I know at the dog sitter's place they have a pool that she will run around, I just don't want to have the maintenance of a swimming pool, since I wouldn't use it. I don't go swimming by myself. So the only time I go swimming is when there's other people around, because to me it's dangerous to go swimming by yourself. Many people do it, and that's for them, not for this girl. But anyway, so that's the big news from today. You will know when it's time to move forward. If you're looking at doing things and thinking and umming and erring about it, just put it out there in the universe. Is it time for me to do blip? Send me a sign. This is the sign I want to see, whatever it is. Put it out there, and the universe will reply to you and let you know that it's time. And yep, the universe was nudging and has been dropping little hints, and there's been little voices in my head saying, you need to sell, you need to sell. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I could do that. And just, yeah. But last time it was like, that's it. We're done. We're selling. So 4th of May is going to be the sale date. That's when that's when the new owner of Sparkles is going to purchase. Sparkles will be the 4th of May. And by then we will also have a house to move into on the 1st of May. So we can start moving everything across. So that's our big news for today. It's time to move forward in a different direction. What will that mean everything else-wise? Who knows? But lots of things are in the pipes. There's plenty of stuff coming. I'm still doing the genealogy. In fact, there's Roots Tech going on right now, which is done by FamilySearch.org, which is the big library up in Salt Lake City. They're putting on Roots Tech, which is a free genealogical conference. It's open to amateurs, to professionals, if you're interested in genealogy. Saw a phenomenal presentation today. Had it going on in the background while I was working. Saw/heard this phenomenal presentation on cemeteries in England and Europe. It was incredible. They were talking about history of cemeteries. They were talking about the different burial different burial practices over the centuries in different places around Europe and London and England. And it was just in different ways that they did headstones and um, tombstones and effigies and statues and the meanings behind them and all of this. And if you're reading a headstone, the different symbols that you could look that could be on the headstone that you could look for and what they mean. It was incredible. It was incredible, and I've got it marked so I can go back and watch the recording of it. So I get to see all the pictures instead of just hearing all this stuff. Even in cemeteries where they brought in dirt and built up the cemetery again, but you could still see some of the headstones poking through the dirt, but they now had more dirt on there where they could go and bury more people and stuff like that. It was just, I personally love walking through cemeteries. I love researching in cemeteries. I don't know, there's just a peacefulness about cemeteries. It's just something that draws me there. And I love walking through and reading headstones and tombstones and looking at different statues and stuff, and visiting relatives if I've got relatives in that particular cemetery. But I love cemeteries. True story, during high school, over our back fence of our backyard was the local cemetery. And I used to step into Mr. and Mrs. Elliott's grave from the 1800s. And I would always apologize for stepping on their grave every time, because the way we'd go over this little fence, and then there was one hedge came this way and one hedge came this way. There's a little gap, and it's through that little gap that we went onto their grave. And I spent many hours in that cemetery. And there was times like on a Friday night when friends were hanging out, we'd actually go to the cemetery, and there was this one place in the cemetery that was a slight hill, and it was near where all the children and infants had been buried. But there was a slight hill that you could just lay back on, and there was the Milky Way directly above you. It was a great place to sit, and we were just all, us kids would just all lay there, and we'd just lay there and talk and look at the stars. And sometimes we'd just sit in silence or lay in silence, and other times we'd just talk about anything and everything that teenagers talk about. So I've spent many evenings on a Friday evening or a Saturday night laying in the cemetery, looking at the stars with a group of friends, just hanging out. Yeah, I love cemeteries. But so this talk absolutely fascinated me. So I'm going to go back and this time pay attention, take notes, so I can bring you some more stuff and tell you some of the cool stuff about cemeteries. But it was fascinating on history of cemeteries. It was awesome. They even talked about some of the cemeteries that you can go see and what you will see when you're there as well. So anyway, that's it from me. My voice is disappearing. I need to go have a hot cup of tea and have some dinner, because I just got off finished work, took Zephy for a walk, got on a mastermind call, just finished the mastermind call, and now we're here. So everybody have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow night, which will be Zephy's 4th birthday. Can't believe Zephy's turning 4 tomorrow. And there may be a couple of lives throughout the day of bark boxes being open. Well, there'll be at least one bark box open tomorrow. The others might have to wait for the weekend. Anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys around 6 p.m. Pacific. He konera.